Hello there! Today we are going to talk about custom Python tools. So we have finished coding from Python console, Python expressions, and now we are going further and we will study how to write your own custom Python tool. First of all, for doing this, you need to go to the Processing tab and choose Toolbox. Here you will see all scripts, all tools from the QGIS, and also here you can see the Python icon. So we can click on it. There are several options here and we will use create new script from the template to understand the structure of the Python tool. So we click on it and here we can see the code. So we will go step by step to understand the structure of this code. First of all, of course, there are some imports, so you can import here anything you want. Then you can see the main class of your Python tool. So the name of the class is very important. So if you will change it, you will need to change it in some other functions. And also you do not need to change the parameter of this class. So let's see what do we have inside this class. First of all, there are two variables, input and output, and here you can create your own global variables. And after that, you can see several functions. So let's go through them. First of all, the function translate. Here you can create the localization of your script, so different translatable strings, so on. Then the create instance function. So if you will change the name of your class, you will need to change it here also. This is very important. Then the name of your script. This is the name to identify your algorithm. As we've studied in the previous video, we can get all algorithms and all tools by their IDs. So this is the unique ID of your script. Then the display name. This name will be shown in the processing toolbox. So for example, here is my script. This is name, change layer color, and here it is. Then the group. So this is just a group name, like vector styles. In this case, you can type any string you want, and then you need to create a group ID. So this is unique group ID where your scripts will be, and also you can get your script through this group from Python. Then short help string. This is just a description of your tool. Everyone who will run your tool can read this description, and so it is very useful. And the last two functions, init algorithm and process algorithm, are the most important. So the first one is init algorithm. In this function, you will set all your input parameters of your future script. If we press play, here we can see the parameters of the script, and so this is the init algorithm. So here you will add your parameters, your input parameters of the script. And the last function is process algorithm, and this function will run right after a user click on the run button. So here's the run button, and after clicking on it, the function process algorithm will run. And in this function, first of all, you need to read your input parameters, and then you need to write some logic, some code that will work with your input parameters. And also you can return anything you want. It could be a layer, it could be a string, it could be a different object in Python. So this is just the main structure of the Python tool, but let's go further and understand what we've prepared for this video. So here we can see two layers, polygon layer and point layer. And first of all, let's try our tool that will change the color of a layer. So we click on it, we can choose the input parameter. So for example, centroids of Australian states, and we can choose the input color. So let's click on it, let's choose red color, go to input. So we've chosen it and let's run. And as you can see, our points become red. And also you see the log here. So there are two tabs, parameters and log. And in the log window, you can make some debug. You can print something from your script. You can have the input parameters. You can have the results of your scripts. So we will look at it a little bit later. Now let's change, for example, the color of the polygon layer. Let's make it green, run. And here it is. So we've just seen the user interface of this tool, and now let's go to its code. And here it is. So first of all, there are some imports. Then we see a class. This is the different class name. And as we've said before, we need to change it here. So we just change it. It's okay. Then we have standard functions like name, display name. So the display name is change layer color, and here it is. Then group, vector styles, some help string, and the most interesting part is init algorithm. So here we create two input parameters. The first one is input layer and the second one is input color. We can add parameters here using add parameter function in this class, and we need to use different methods to create different parameters. For example, the first one is feature source, as you can see here, and the second one is color. So in the user interface, you also saw the difference between them when we choose a layer or when we create a color, and all these different methods you can read in the documentation, and under this video I will give you all links to this documentation. So here they are. You can choose different parameters also from here. For example, color, we can click on it, we can understand what parameters it takes. So it's up to you what to choose as a parameter. It depends on the logic of your script. Let's go back, and in each parameter you will need to have the name of the parameter. So this is the input layer variable. We can see it here. So this is just a string. This is just the name of your input parameter. The next one is just the translation of your parameter. And in some types of parameters, you can add different additional options. For example, here we choose the any geometry for the input vector layer. So there are two input parameters in our script. And let's go further to the process algorithm. So first of all, in this function, in the process algorithm function, we need to read the input parameters. So you can also get parameters in different ways. You can read them as vector layer, you can read them as string, and as many different types. And we can read it here. Here it is, parameter as point, as range, as raster layer, as string, and different other types. Of course, the link will be under this video. So we need to understand how we need to get these parameters in our script. So in our case, we need to get the input layer as a vector layer because we need to work with it as we worked before in the previous videos, just as with the vector layer. So we need to change its color. And the color we can get just as a string, so it will be the code of the color. And then to debug our code, we need not to print color. We need to use feedback.pushInfo, and as a parameter we need to set a string. So as you can see, there are some input parameters in the process algorithm. First of all, of course, self, as in each method in the class, then parameters, then context, and feedback. So the feedback is used to get an access to the log tab. So we need to use feedback push info as a print method in the Python console. Then we just to make a check if our input layer is not none. So if it is none, we need to close our script, we need to create an error. Then again, some feedback, some push info for debugging. And then the simplest thing as we could do, we have a variable lir. So it's like layer in our previous videos, and it is a vector layer. We can work with it as we worked in the Python console with different layers that we get through the iFace active layer. So layer renderer.symbol returns us the symbol of a layer, and then we just change the color using setColor function, and as an input QColor and a string code of the color as a parameter to the QColor object. And then we need just to repaint our layer, and we do not need to return anything, so we return the empty dictionary, and that's it. So it is very easy to create the Python tool. You do not need to change lots of things. You do not need to create your own class from the very beginning, so you just change the template, and the only thing you need to do is to change the init algorithm function and to change the process algorithm function. So all links will be under the video, and let's see how we debug our code. So let's go to this Python tool, let's change the color and run it. And in the log tab, you see first of all the code, then the CRS of the layer as we wrote in the code. So feedback push info returns us some prints here, no results, so this is the empty dictionary. And here are our input parameters, our Q color and our input layer. Here you can see the difference that we've created a Q color object as the input parameter, but we've got it as a string, as a code of this color. So this is the difference between the types of reading, of getting parameters in the process algorithm function. So we read it as a string, that's why we didn't get the Q color object, but we get the code of this color. And the last thing I want to tell you about is import. So when you use the different type of creating a parameter, you need to import this method. So here it is. From the QGIS core, you just need to import different methods of creating parameters. It is very simple, you just add the name here. And that's it for today. So we've studied how to create your own Python tool, to create its name, to create the group of this Python script, to create it not from the very beginning, not from the empty list, but from the template. And in the next video, we will go to the last part of our course. We will go to creating your own Python plugins. So feel free to write comments under this video, to send us your feedback and subscribe on this channel.